Hello and welcome to SexRx. I'm Dr. Manny. As Hollywood's sexual assault scandal widens with further accusations, Kevin Spacey checks himself into a rehab center for his sex addiction. The same rehab center Harvey Weinstein is getting treatment at. But what exactly goes on and what kind of help do these patients get in these expensive facilities? Do they really work? Psychotherapist Dr. Roby Ludwig and psychologist Dr. Catherine Smerling are joining me now to talk about these centers. But look, the first question that I have, how does one become addicted to sex?
Well, it's just like any other addiction, right? I mean, what happens with addiction, the goal is to feel better. And you use whatever it is to feel better, and it becomes a compulsion and out of control. The problem I have is that very often with a Weinstein and Spacey is that this is a PR move. Do they really have a sex addiction?
We'll get to that. I think that, this is more of a lack of a moral compass.
Oh, I don't know if I would say that.
But anyway, so.
I don't know if I'd say that because I've worked with people who really do legitimately.
All right, so how would you diagnose a sex addict?
First of all, I do think that sex addiction is different from other addictions because the addiction of alcohol or drug addiction, you are harming yourself. You do leave a bunch of harm to other people in the process of doing it. But with sex addiction, you are purposely abusing other people.
Right.
But there are people who have a sex addiction who are harming themselves. They engage in very dangerous sex where they're putting themselves in health's harm way, where they can get serious diseases, where they've destroyed their families, their work life. So it's just like any addiction in that regard.
But this is an abuse of power.
Well, that's different. That's very different.
But again, from a clinical perspective, would you? I mean, how could you make the diagnosis? Would it be that you get into trouble and then you say how often you're having sex and how you're having it?
I think that when you become obsessive about anything, any addiction, it means you don't function as in regular life. Okay. Now, I know that Harvey Weinstein probably had a bunch of people that were covering for him, and same with Kevin Spacey, but people who are ordinary people who have sex addictions often lay in bed and masturbate for days. They will go and get risky sex partners and all kinds of things that are not masked by other things.
All right, so let's get to the treatment, which is, you started to talk a little bit about. So these rehab centers, what goes on there as far as training somebody not to be a sex addict?
Well, there are triggers. And these triggers are associated with something that you see or something that you hear or a motivation, internal emotion. So what you do is observe those triggers and try to rework the neural pathways of your brain so that you don't actually feel those triggers anymore.
But I imagine, too, in the treatment centers that there's group therapy, there's individual therapy, there's medication management, so that
neurofeedback, all of that.
So there's a supportive treatment environment where you can be amongst other people who are having similar struggles, and it's just like anything else. It works as well as you.
So what, does, especially if you have a partner, how would the partner help with that? So in other words, if I'm a sex addict and I go through rehab and I kind of get it under control, but I'm married and I want to have a relationship with my wife, what should she be monitoring or helping me with?
And that puts a lot of burden on the partner.
Well, I mean,
But I think that there are things that a partner can do. First of all, you don't return to the same haunts. Someone who is an alcoholic doesn't go back to the same bars in which they got drunk in. Someone who is an opiate user isn't in a position where they're able to have any drugs, perhaps. The same thing with sex, that you have appropriate sex with your own partner, but you don't have sex. What is it? You might have to be monitored. You might have to have a sober companion. A sex companion. You might have to do. We are going into uncharted waters here. But I think that as far as the celebrities who have declared that they are sex addicts that are now getting treatment for sex addiction, they are not going to be able to go back to the same lives that they had once before.
And I think like any partnership, it's having good communication and working towards the goal to stay healthy and to engage in behavior that is healthy for oneself.
I thank you, because I think that this is a very important topic, and it's going to be more of these scandals and more of these personalities entering
coming
rehab,
out,
the famous
entering rehab and coming out of the woodwork.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And if you have a health question, send a tweet to me at Dr. Manny on Fox. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.